Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I don't understand customers. I really don't understand. I shouldn't even say customers. I should say people in general. I just don't understand them. I don't understand what they think of with certain things. I've got a couple examples for you. Had a guy bring in a Corvette, and he comes in. He goes, "Yeah, hey, my warranty company told me that you guys work with them, that you wanted a warranty." I was like, "Oh, okay. What do you got going on?" "Well, I got the Corvette. I just bought it, and it has a hard time restarting when it's hot." "Okay." He goes, "I'm just going to leave it with you. I want you guys to take a look at it. The warranty company will handle it. Here's the number of the warranty company, blah, 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 blah." "Okay, not a big deal." He goes, "When I bought it from this used car place," he goes, "I don't know if they did anything to it. Like, they're supposed to check out a car and whatnot, and I really don't think they checked it out." "Okay, why do you say that?" He goes, "Well, when I opened up the hood and I checked the oil, I had to add 3 quarts of oil to it." "Well, that's not good." He goes, "Yeah, and I want to check the transmission too, because it doesn't feel right. It feels weird." It's like, "Okay, all right, well, you're going to leave it with us. We'll take a look at it." Okay. He gives me all his information. He leaves. I'm not thinking anything of it. I go out there to the car, get the plate number and all of that, and I'm looking, and I see Borla exhaust, okay, with huge, huge tips on it. And this is a 2013, 2014, something like that, where it's got like the 4 pipes that exit in the center of the rear at the bottom. All right. I go to start it up, and it cranks and cranks and cranks and cranks and cranks, and then, blah, 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 and fires off, right? And I could tell right away, this thing's got a cam in it, like a big cam. It is lumpy. You can just tell it's a big cam with a lot of overlap. So I'm like, all right. It's an automatic too. I drive it around. I go to pull it in the shop. I open up the hood and I look, and they used like home wiring. I don't know what it's called. I want to call it PEX, but I know PEX is the piping. I don't do work on the house enough to know what this stuff is called. So Romex, they used Romex, and it had an aftermarket aluminum radiator in it, and they used Romex to hold the radiator in place instead of using the factory brackets. Yeah. So I'm like looking at that, and all of a sudden I realize, hey, this thing's got aftermarket headers on it. And now, with exhaust manifold, with any vehicle that has an O2 sensor, an oxygen sensor, or an air-fuel ratio sensor, okay? The air-fuel ratio sensor has to be a little bit downstream in the system. It can't be right up on one single cylinder, unless you are planning on just reading one single cylinder, okay? It needs to read all 4, not just one. So if you have a V6, it needs to read 3 on one side. If you have a V8, 4 on one side. If you have an inline 4, just 4. Inline 6, it might split it in 2, so you have 3 and 3. But what it does is you have to go after the pipes come together. So you have a single tube coming out off the exhaust for each cylinder, and they come down and they merge together into a collector. On a factory vehicle, they do the same thing, and the O2 sensor has to be located there. Well, guess what? On these headers, that must have been some cheap aftermarket headers, or maybe they were designed this way for a reason. I don't know. But they had located the O2 sensor in the number 4. Wait, no. In the number 7 and the number 8. Okay, number 7 is the back on one side, number 8 is the back on the other side. In the number 7 and number 8 tube, I just spit. Yeah, they located in a tube. So it wasn't in the collector, so it's only reading off of one cylinder. That's not right. That's not right. So then I start looking at it, and I realize it's got an aftermarket harmonic balancer on it, okay? But it's a weird aftermarket harmonic balancer. I'm like, that's designed for another pulley to be mated to it for a supercharger. Yep. So then the more I look, the more I realize that this thing has all the signs of this thing had an aftermarket supercharger on it. It had, in the brake booster vacuum hose, it had a port that was added to it for to provide vacuum for like the blow-off valve and stuff like that. It had, the PCV system was closed off. The fill cap was a modified fill cap with like a breather type setup on it. Basically, that would go into the air inlet into the supercharger. You know, all of these things pointed to this being on there. The fuel line had been modified and had like AN style fittings added to it. So it's just like, yeah, no, we are not getting involved in this car. This thing had a supercharger on. This is what I'm concluding. It had a supercharger on it, and it was tuned for the supercharger. Now, you can get supercharger specific camshafts, okay? And I don't know how well they run if you do not have a supercharger. However, you can get just a high performance camshaft and add a supercharger to it. That's what a lot of people do. But you can get very specific supercharger specific camshafts. So I got a funny feeling it has a supercharger specific camshaft in it. It was probably tuned for said supercharger. And then whoever sold the car took all of that stuff off, left that tune in it and whatnot. The other thing too that kind of gave it away was on a Corvette, on the center display, you can customize it and make it say, you know, like Tommy's Corvette, or, you know, I love my Pro Ked sneakers, or, you know, stuff like that, you know, Corvette season, whatever you want. This one said Gapplebees. Gapplebees, okay. In street racing, in drag racing, gap is, you know, how much you are beating the other car, okay? Like if you hear somebody say, I took them to Gapplebees, meaning I just gapped them, meaning I beat them by so much of a car lengths or stuff like that. That's what that refers to. So I'm like, it said Gapplebees. So obviously this thing was either a street racer or whatever. Probably a street racer because it didn't have a cage in it. So yeah. So this car was probably beat to snot. So call the customer, tell them, look, no, we didn't even call your warranty company, because here's what's going to happen. One of the first things they ask you is, has the car been modified? Okay? When you have those aftermarket warranties, mustache feather, if you have one of those aftermarket warranties, that's one of the very first things they will ask you. Has the car been modified? Has the car been in an accident? And you know what? If you don't tell them the truth, and let's say they have to come out there and do an inspection, okay, you do that, and they come out there to inspect it and see that you were lying to them, well, you know what? You can get in trouble for that. So obviously we're not going to lie about that. So we called the customer and said, hey, this is what's going on. Well, why didn't you call the warranty company? Because this is what's going to happen. And then they're going to flag your VIN number, and they're going to take away your warranty, and you're going to have nothing. So, well, what do I do now? I don't know. It's you know, I would go back to the place where you bought it from and have them straighten it out. Well, what if they don't want to straighten it out? I don't know what to tell you. So you mean to tell me I have a car that I'm paying $650 a month for and I can't drive it? I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling you what I found wrong with it. And the guy's getting mad at us and yelling at us. And you know what it is? They get mad because they made a poor decision. Well, you know what? I'm sorry you made a poor decision, but it's not my fault and it's not my problem. You know, sorry. You know, what do you want us to do? The thing was lowered too, to the point where I couldn't even get a lift underneath it. Like I have to figure out some way to, if I was going to work, we're not going to work on it. If we were going to work on it, I had to figure out some way to get it up high enough to, like, with boards or something. I don't know, but it had like an air dam kit all the way around, or whatever they call that stuff, all the way around on the vehicle. So the thing was literally this high off the ground. So it's like I couldn't even put a 2x4 underneath this thing. It was so dang low. But anyway, yeah, so like people get mad at us for telling them what's going on. It's like, okay, just because you made a poor decision, don't get mad at me. The next one is kind of interesting. Customer comes in, a lady. 3 months ago, we put an engine in her Hyundai. Okay. She blew the engine in her Hyundai. It was her fault. She never bothered changing the oil or checking the oil or anything else. So she blew the engine. Okay. She paid for us to put an engine in it. Okay. We found a used one. We put an engine in it because that was the most cost-effective way to go, and explained it all to her. This is what we did, blah, 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 blah. Car's been running fine. She was happy with it. So she comes in and she says, yeah, my check engine light came on. Okay. Go out there, scan it for codes. Upstream O2 sensor. Heater failure. Okay. Well, you're going to need an upstream oxygen sensor. What do you mean I'm going to need an upstream oxygen sensor? You're going to need an upstream oxygen sensor. The heater failed. Well, you just replaced that. No, we didn't just replace that. We replaced the engine. Yeah, but you replaced all the sensors and everything. No, we replaced the engine. We never touched the upstream oxygen sensor. You know, it's not something that we would have had to do. We would never had to unbolt it, take it out, or anything. Well, yeah, you just changed all of that. You replaced all of that. Okay, well, I'm not going to get into an argument with you. Do you want us to replace the oxygen sensor? Well, I'm not paying for it. Okay, well, then we're not replacing it. You know, we can't do it for free. That's nothing to do with the original repair. We're willing to give you a discount on it. You know, we're willing to work with you on this. You know, because you did have that other repair, and we did, you know, it was an extensive repair. I'm not paying for expletive. You mother expletives. You're ripping me off. You expletive, expletive, expletive. You know, beep, beep, beep. Like, nonstop out of her mouth. She is screaming at us. Screaming. We're just staring at her. Keep screaming. You act like that to us and you think we're going to help you? Bye. Bye. Don't ever come back. Don't ever come back. So once she was done screaming, she's like, what are you going to do about it? We said, absolutely nothing. We are not going to do anything for you. What do you mean you're not going to do anything for me? Well, we are no longer going to do anything for you. We will not work on your car anymore. There she goes again. Starts screaming, expletives, the whole 9 yards. I mean, first off, there was no reason for any of it. No reason at all. So it's like you go off of the deep end and to the people that are trying to help you, and then you expect to turn around and still have them help you? No. We are not your servant. We are not the people you can abuse. You know, we're here to help you. Yes, we are servants per se. We are servants to the people that we choose to be servants to, which doesn't include everybody. You know, we can pick and choose the people we want to deal with. And you know what? That's a person we are not going to deal with. What is that line there? I realize there's a line across my camera. But it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what people expect. I don't know why people go off the deep end. Like if you're screaming at us, why would we want to help you? Seriously. If any of you guys are in business, like, how do you handle people like that? We just tell them goodbye. Because, you know, go somewhere else. We will not deal with you. We will not deal with you. You have a problem with what we did originally, come back in and see us. We'll help you with that. But that's it. You know, other than that, we're not helping you. I don't care if you're going to pay us 10 times what we wanted for the job. We're not dealing with you because you're not worth the headache. You're not worth the headache. People don't realize, like, when I work from home, you know, I won't work on certain people's cars because they're not worth the headache. You know, they basically bring down your inner peace. They really bother your inner peace, at least mine. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need your money that bad. I'm not chasing $100 for aggravation and heartache, and then you're going to keep coming back and back and back and back to me for all sorts of different things, and you're going to be complaining about this, that, and the other. No. I'm going to fix your car. I'm going to fix it right. You don't. I'm going to fix it right, and that's it. And I'm going to charge you however much it is, and that's why people come back to me. But I'm not going to deal with those certain people. They're like, oh, well, you know, can you do it for this much? Can you do it? No, this is what it is. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to cover those two things with you. All right, well, I hope you get something out of my videos. If you do, hit that like button. If you could, please hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day and keep wrenching.